The autumn night was very quiet in the small village outside Bizen. The air was cold, and the stars were bright in the sky. Most people were sleeping in their homes, warm under their blankets. But Park Taeho was not sleeping. He was working late in his repair shop. Taeho was 34 years old. He had dark hair that was always messy, and hands that were always dirty with oil and grease. He was a mechanic, and he was very good at his job. Before opening his own shop, he had worked for 15 years repairing ship engines for the Navy. His father had taught him how to fix things when he was a boy. His grandfather had taught his father. Fixing things was in his blood. His shop was an old barn that his grandfather had left him. It was not fancy, but it had everything Taeho needed. Tools hung on the walls. Engine parts sat on shelves. An old radio played soft music while he worked on a broken motorcycle engine. Taeho wiped his forehead with a dirty rag. He was tired. He thought about his daughter Yuna. She was 8 years old, and she was sleeping at her mother's house tonight. Taeho and his ex-wife Jisoo had separated 2 years ago, but they still cared about each other. They shared time with Yuna and tried to be good parents. He was thinking about calling it a night when he heard the sound. It started as a low hum, like a plane flying overhead. But it grew louder and louder. The tools on his walls began to shake. The light bulbs flickered. Taeho walked outside and looked up at the sky. What he saw made his heart stop. A ball of purple fire was falling from the sky. It was not a plane. It was not a meteor. It was something else. Something that moved with purpose, like it was trying to control its fall. But it was failing. Smoke poured from its sides. Flames licked at its surface. The object crashed into the old rice fields behind his property. The ground shook so hard that Taeho fell to his knees. A wave of heat washed over him. The night turned bright as day for one terrible moment. Then everything went quiet. Taeho's hands were shaking. His mind was racing. He should call the police. He should call the military. He should run inside and hide. That was what a smart person would do. But Taeho was not thinking about being smart. He was thinking about the smoke rising from those fields. He was thinking that someone might be hurt. Someone might need help. He grabbed his flashlight and ran toward the crash site. The rice fields were destroyed. A long trench had been cut into the earth, stretching for almost 200 meters. At the end of the trench sat the crashed object. Up close, Taeho could see that it was a ship. But it was not like any ship he had ever seen. The craft was about the size of a small bus. Its surface was made of dark metal that seemed to absorb his flashlight's beam instead of reflecting it. The shape was strange too. It had smooth, organic curves, like it had been grown instead of built. There were no sharp edges, no bolts, no seams that he could see. Taeho walked closer. His flashlight found a crack in the ship's hull. Through the crack, he could see lights flickering inside. Red lights. Warning lights. Then he heard the sound. It was a scraping noise, like metal against metal. Something was moving inside the ship. Taeho's heart pounded in his chest. Every part of his brain screamed at him to run, but his feet would not move. He stood frozen, watching as something crawled out of the crack in the hull. At first, Taeho thought it was a person in a strange suit. It had 2 arms, 2 legs, a head. It was about the same size as a human. But as it crawled into the light of his flashlight, Taeho saw that it was not human at all. The creature had too many joints in its limbs. Its arms bent in 3 places instead of 1. Its legs did the same. Its skin was dark and smooth, like polished black stone. When it raised its head, Taeho saw a face that was almost human, but not quite. The features were too flat, the skull too long, and its eyes reflected his flashlight like a cat's eyes, glowing silver in the darkness. The creature collapsed at Taeho's feet. For a long moment, Taeho could not breathe. He could not think. He just stared at the thing lying in the dirt before him. This was an alien. A real alien. Something from another world. Every story he had ever heard, every movie he had ever watched, none of it had prepared him for this moment. Then the creature spoke. The voice came from somewhere in its chest. It was mechanical, translated, and filled with pain. "Please," it said. "Please, help me." Taiho's fear did not go away, but something else rose up beside it. Something stronger. Pity. Compassion. This creature was hurt. This creature was scared. This creature was asking for help. "What happened to you?" Taiho asked. His voice was shaking. "They are hunting me," the creature said. "The Dominion. They want what I carry. If they find me here, they will destroy everything. They will burn your world to reach me." Taiho did not understand all of those words. He did not know what the Dominion was. He did not know what the creature was carrying. But he understood the fear in its voice. He understood that this being was running from something terrible. He thought about Yuna. He thought about Jisoo. He thought about all the people sleeping peacefully in the village just a few kilometers away. If this creature was telling the truth, they were all in danger. "Can you move?" Taiho asked. The creature tried to stand but fell back down. "My leg is damaged. My ship is damaged. I cannot escape." Taiho looked at the smoking ship. He looked at the broken creature. He thought about what his father had always told him. When something is broken, you fix it. When someone needs help, you help them. That is what good people do. He made his decision. "I am going to help you," Taiho said. "I am going to get you to my shop. And then I am going to fix your ship." The creature's silver eyes stared at him. "You do not know what you are offering. The technology is beyond your world. You cannot possibly understand it." Taiho bent down and put the creature's arm over his shoulder. It was heavier than it looked, and its skin felt strange against his, like smooth glass. But he lifted it anyway. He began to walk toward his shop, half carrying, half dragging the alien through the destroyed rice fields. "Maybe I cannot understand your technology," Taiho said through gritted teeth. "But I understand broken things. I have been fixing broken things my whole life. Engines, machines, electronics. Physics is physics. If your ship has parts that move, I can figure out how they work. If something is broken, I can find a way to repair it." The creature said nothing for a long moment. Then, very quietly, it spoke again. "My name cannot be said in your language, but your translator will call me Vel. I am a scientist. And if you truly can repair my ship, Park Taiho, you may have just saved your entire world." Taiho stumbled slightly but kept walking. "How do you know my name?" "I scanned your identification when I landed. I needed to know if you were a threat." Vel paused. "You are not a threat. You are something more rare. You are kind." They reached the barn. Taiho pushed open the door with his foot and helped Vel inside. He set the alien down on a pile of old blankets in the corner. Then he stood back, breathing hard, looking at the impossible being lying in his workshop. "Okay," he said. "Now tell me everything. Tell me what is chasing you. Tell me what you are carrying. And tell me what I need to do to fix your ship." Vel's silver eyes met his. "Are you certain you want to know? Once you know, you cannot unknow. Your life will never be the same." Taiho thought about his quiet life, his small shop, his simple routines. He thought about how easy it would be to walk away, to call the authorities, to let someone else deal with this problem. Then he thought about Yuna, about her smile, about the world she would grow up in. "Tell me," he said. "I am ready." And Vel began to speak. Vel spoke for almost an hour. Taiho sat on an overturned bucket and listened without saying a word. What he heard changed everything he thought he knew about the universe. The galaxy was full of life. Thousands of species lived among the stars. Some were peaceful. Some were dangerous. But all of them lived under the shadow of one great power. The Dominion. The Dominion was an empire that controlled most of the galaxy. They had ruled for 10,000 years. Their technology was beyond anything Taiho could imagine. Their ships could cross between stars in days. Their weapons could destroy entire worlds. And their leaders believed one thing above all else. They believed that they were the only species that deserved to exist. The Dominion does not conquer, Vel explained. Her voice was weak, but her words were clear. They do not enslave. They eliminate. Any species that might one day challenge their power is destroyed before they can become a threat. Taiho felt cold. Destroyed how? Different ways. Sometimes a plague. Sometimes a war started between nations. Sometimes an asteroid, carefully aimed to look like a natural disaster. Vel's silver eyes were sad. Your world, Earth, is on their list. You are scheduled for elimination in 18 of your years. A single asteroid, redirected from your system's outer belt. It will look like bad luck. No one will know the truth. Taiho's hands were shaking. He thought about Yuna. In 18 years, she would be 26. She might have children of her own. She might have a family, a life, dreams for the future. And all of it would be destroyed. All of it would be erased. Not because of anything humanity had done, but because of what they might one day become. Why? Taiho asked. His voice was barely a whisper. Why do they fear us? Vel made a sound that might have been a laugh. You are adaptable. You are creative. You never stop trying, even when you should. The Dominion has watched many species. They say humans are unpredictable, dangerous. Given time, you could become anything, and that scares them. Yes, that scares them very much. Taiho stood up. He walked to the window and looked out at the night sky. Somewhere up there, an empire was planning to murder his world. Somewhere up there, the future of his daughter was being decided by creatures who had never met her, who would never know her name. He turned back to Vel. What did you steal from them? Vel reached into a compartment on her suit and pulled out a small crystal. It was about the size of a chicken egg, and it glowed with soft blue light. This is a data crystal. It contains proof. Records of every world the Dominion has destroyed. Schedules for future eliminations. Evidence of their crimes against thousands of species. And if you can show this proof to others, then the Dominion will be exposed. The other powers in the galaxy will see what they truly are. There will be consequences. Maybe even war. But at least the truth will be known. Taiho nodded slowly. His fear was still there. It had not gone away. But something else was growing inside him. Something that felt like purpose. Where is your ship? He asked. In the field where it crashed. It cannot fly. The main drive is damaged. The power systems are failing. Without repairs, I have no way to escape. Taiho grabbed his toolbox. It was heavy, filled with wrenches and screwdrivers and electrical tools that he had collected over many years. He slung it over his shoulder and headed for the door. Show me what is broken, he said. The walk back to the crashed ship was difficult. Vel could barely stand, so Taiho had to support her with one arm while carrying his tools with the other. The night air was cold, and the smoke from the crash still hung in the air. But they made it. Up close, the damage to the ship was severe. One entire side was cracked open. Strange fluids leaked from broken pipes. Inside the cockpit, warning lights flashed in colors that Taiho had never seen before. The main drive is here, Vel said, pointing to a large cylinder in the center of the ship. It converts energy into movement. But the containment field has collapsed. Without it, the drive cannot function. Tai-Ho climbed inside the ship. The ceiling was low, and he had to crouch as he moved. The air smelled strange, like copper and something sweeter. He reached the main drive and studied it carefully. The technology was alien. That was obvious. The materials were strange. The design was strange. Nothing looked like anything he had worked on before. But as he looked closer, Tai-Ho began to see patterns. Energy flowed from one component to another. Connections linked different systems together. It was different from human technology, but the principles were the same. The containment field, Tai-Ho said slowly. It keeps the energy inside the drive, yes? Like a wall? Yes, that is correct. And this field is created by these coils? He pointed to a series of rings around the drive cylinder. Vel's silver eyes widened slightly. You can see that? I have been working with engines for 20 years. Energy needs to be contained. These coils create a magnetic field. That field holds the energy in place. Tai-Ho ran his fingers along one of the coils. This one is damaged. The others are fine, but this one has a crack in it. The field is leaking. You understand our technology better than I expected. Tai-Ho almost smiled. Physics is physics. It does not matter if the engine is in a boat or a spaceship. The rules are the same. He opened his toolbox and began to work. The next several hours were the hardest of Tai-Ho's life. The coil was made of a material he had never seen before. His normal tools could not cut it or shape it. He had to find other ways. First, he went back to his shop and gathered supplies. Copper wire, electrical tape, a car battery from an old truck, his grandmother's silver hairpin, which she had given him before she died. He brought everything back to the crashed ship and got to work. The cracked coil could not be fixed, but it could be replaced. Tai-Ho wrapped copper wire on a metal rod, creating a new coil by hand. It was not perfect. It was not elegant, but it might work. The conductivity will be wrong, Vel warned. Copper is not the same as our materials. Then I will adjust. Tai-Ho pulled out the car battery. This will provide extra power. If the conductivity is lower, we push more energy through. It is not pretty, but it will work. He connected the battery to the new coil. Sparks flew. The lights in the ship flickered. For a moment, Tai-Ho thought he had made a terrible mistake. Then the main drive hummed to life. Vel stared at the glowing cylinder. That should not be possible. You used primitive materials. You had no training. How did you do this? Tai-Ho wiped sweat from his forehead. I told you. I fix things. That is what I do. But the main drive was only one problem. The power systems were also damaged. The navigation computer had crashed. The communication array was broken. Each problem led to another problem. Each repair revealed new damage. Tai-Ho worked through the night. He did not eat. He did not rest. He just kept working, using every skill he had learned in his life. When he needed a circuit board, he took one from his old radio. When he needed a conductor, he used his grandmother's hairpin. When he needed a stabilizer, he cut apart a gyroscope from a broken drone. Vel watched him work. At first, she tried to help, explaining how each system should function. But as the hours passed, she grew quiet. She just watched Tai-Ho with those silver eyes, something like wonder on her strange face. Your species is young, she said at one point. You have only been in space for a few decades. Yet you work with our technology as if you have used it your whole life. Tai-Ho did not look up from his work. Age does not matter. What matters is wanting to learn. What matters is not giving up when things are hard. By 4 in the morning, the ship was ready. It was not perfect. The repairs were held together with tape and wire and hope. But when Taiho pressed the power button, the ship hummed with energy. The lights stopped flashing red. The engines glowed with soft blue light. "It will fly," Taiho said. He was so tired that he could barely stand. "Not far, not fast, but it will fly." Vel stood up slowly. Her leg was still injured, but she was stronger now. She looked at Taiho with an expression he could not read. "You have done something impossible," she said. "Our best engineers would need days to do what you did in hours. You used materials that should not work. You invented solutions that should not exist. And yet, here we are. My ship is alive again." Taiho shrugged. "Where I come from, we do not throw things away. We fix them." Vel was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke again. "There is something else you should know. While you were working on the main drive, I was working on the communication array. I know. I saw you. I was not just repairing it. I was using it." Vel held up the crystal with the proof of the Dominion's crimes. "For the last 6 hours, this data has been broadcasting. Every frequency, every direction. Every planet in range is receiving this information right now." Taiho stared at her. "You mean the truth is already out there?" "Yes. Whatever happens next, the secret is no longer a secret. The galaxy will know what the Dominion has done." Taiho leaned against the wall of the ship. He was exhausted. He was scared. But somewhere deep inside, he felt something else. He felt proud. He had done something that mattered. He had helped someone who needed help. He had maybe, just maybe, saved his world. "So what happens now?" he asked. Before Vel could answer, the first light of dawn appeared on the horizon. And with it came something else. Something terrible. Shadows fell across the rice fields. Taiho looked up and felt his blood turn to ice. The 7 black ships hung in the sky like dark clouds before a terrible storm. They made no sound. They just floated there, blocking out the morning sun. Each ship was massive, at least 100 meters long. Their surfaces were covered with weapons that glowed with red light. They were warships. They were meant to destroy. Taiho stood in the middle of the rice field, frozen with fear. His heart was pounding so hard that he could feel it in his throat. His legs felt weak. His hands were shaking. He was a mechanic. He fixed broken engines and old motorcycles. He was not prepared for this. He was not prepared for an alien invasion. His phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out with trembling fingers and saw Jisu's name on the screen. He pressed the answer button. "Taiho." Jisu's voice was filled with panic. "Taiho, there are things in the sky. Giant black things. Yuna is crying. She is asking for you. She does not understand what is happening." Taiho closed his eyes. He thought about his daughter. He thought about her small face, her bright eyes, her laugh that sounded like music. She was scared. She needed him, and he could not go to her. "Listen to me," Taiho said. He tried to keep his voice calm, even though he was terrified. "Stay inside the house. Lock all the doors. Close all the windows. Do not go outside for any reason." "Taiho, what is happening? Are we being attacked? Is this a war?" "I do not have time to explain. Just trust me. Keep Yuna safe. I love you both. I will fix this." He hung up before Jisu could ask more questions. He could not answer them. He did not have answers. He only had fear. Vel limped up beside him. Her silver eyes were fixed on the black ships. "The Dominion enforcers," she said. Her voice was quiet, defeated. "They found me. I led them right to your world. How did they find you so fast?" "They must have been tracking my ship. I thought I had disabled the beacon, but they have other ways." "They always have other ways." Vel turned to Taiho. "You need to run. Take your family and go as far as you can. Maybe they will focus on me. Maybe they will not notice you." Taiho shook his head. "If what you told me is true, they are planning to destroy my entire world. Running will not save us. Then what will you do?" Before Taiho could answer, a beam of white light shot down from the lead ship. The light was so bright that it hurt to look at. Within the beam, something began to form. A shape, a figure. Something was coming down. The figure stepped out of the light and onto the burned ground of the rice field. Taiho had thought Vel was strange, with her extra joints and her black skin and her silver eyes. But this creature was something else entirely. It was tall, almost 3 meters. Its body was covered in armor that looked like dark stone. Its face was like cracked rock, with lines running through it like dried mud. But its eyes were the worst part. They burned with cold fire, red and orange flames that never stopped moving. When it looked at Taiho, he felt like he was being burned from the inside. This was a Dominion enforcer. This was the face of the Empire that wanted to kill his world. Human. The enforcer's voice was like thunder. It rolled across the field, shaking the ground under Taiho's feet. "You have given shelter to a criminal of the Dominion. You have aided in her escape. You have committed crimes against the Empire." Taiho's mouth was dry. His voice came out as a whisper. "I helped someone who was hurt. That is not a crime. The criminal Vel stole property belonging to the Dominion. She has spread lies about our empire. And you have helped her do it." The enforcer took one step forward. The ground cracked under its foot. "You will surrender the criminal to us. You will tell us where she has sent the stolen data. And then you will watch as we erase every trace of her lies from this galaxy. And if I refuse?" The enforcer made a sound that might have been a laugh. It was terrible, like rocks grinding together. "Then your primitive world will suffer. We will not give you the quick death we had planned. We will take our time. We will make your species scream for generations before we finally end you." Taiho felt the fear rising in his chest. It was so strong that he could barely breathe. This creature was ancient. This creature was powerful. This creature could destroy everything he loved with a wave of its hand. But then he thought about Yuna again. He thought about her hiding in her room, crying, not understanding why the sky was filled with monsters. He thought about what would happen to her if he gave up. If he surrendered. If he let these creatures win. The fear was still there, but something else was growing beside it. Something hotter. Something stronger. Anger. "You want to know about the data?" Taiho said. His voice was louder now, steadier. "You want to know where it went?" The enforcer tilted its burning head. "Yes. Tell me everything, and I may show mercy." "The data is already gone. It was broadcasting all night. Every planet in range has received it by now. Every species within 100 light years knows what you have done." Taiho pointed at the sky. "Your secrets are not secrets anymore. The whole galaxy knows that the Dominion murders innocent worlds." The enforcer went very still. The flames in its eyes burned brighter. "You are lying. I am a mechanic. I fix things. Last night, I fixed her communication array. And while I was doing that, the truth was spreading across the stars." Taiho took a step forward. His legs were still shaking, but he forced himself to move. "You came here to silence one scientist, but you are too late. The truth is already free." The enforcer's stone face cracked further. "You do not understand what you have done, human. You have not saved your world. You have condemned it. The Dominion does not forgive. The Dominion does not forget. We will burn your planet to ashes, and we will hunt down every copy of those lies, and we will erase them from existence." "Then do it." Taiho spread his arms wide. "I am standing right here. One human, One small human from one small planet. If you are so powerful, why are you talking? Why are you threatening? Just do it. Destroy me. The Enforcer raised one massive hand. Red energy gathered around its fingers. This was it. This was the end. Taiho was going to die in this field, surrounded by the broken remains of his simple life. But he did not close his eyes. He did not look away. He stared directly into those burning eyes and waited. And nothing happened. The Enforcer hesitated. Its hand remained raised, but the energy did not release. The seconds stretched out. 1, 2, 4. Finally, the Enforcer lowered its hand. Why? Vel asked. She had been watching silently from behind Taiho. Why do you not strike? The Enforcer's voice was quieter now. Something had changed in it, because it does not matter anymore. The data has spread. Destroying this one human will not undo what has been done. We need to contain this situation through other means. Taiho did not understand what was happening, but he knew one thing. He was still alive. The Enforcer had hesitated. For one brief moment, the unstoppable empire had stopped. You are scared, Taiho said slowly. That is why you are not killing me. You are scared of what will happen if you destroy Earth now. The whole galaxy is watching. If you murder us after what we just revealed, everyone will know the truth. Everyone will see that we were right about you. The Enforcer's eyes burned with rage, but it did not deny Taiho's words. What do you want? The Enforcer demanded. You cannot possibly think you can negotiate with the Dominion. You are nothing. Your species is nothing. Taiho thought for a long moment. He was just a mechanic. He did not know about politics or diplomacy or galactic empires. But he knew about people. He knew that when someone was scared, they made mistakes. He knew that when someone was angry, they did not think clearly. And he knew one more thing. He knew that sometimes the only way to survive was to buy time. I want you to leave, Taiho said. I want you to take your ships and go away from my planet. And I want you to give us time. Time for what? Time to prepare. Time to grow. Time to become strong enough to face you again. Taiho smiled, even though his heart was pounding. Because one day, humans will leave this world. One day, we will travel among the stars. And when that day comes, we will remember this moment. We will remember what you planned to do to us. And we will make sure it never happens again. The Enforcer stared at him for a long time. The flames in its eyes flickered and danced. Then it made that terrible grinding laugh again. You are brave, human. Brave and foolish. But it does not matter. The Dominion will not negotiate with insects. But even as it spoke, Taiho noticed something. The black ships in the sky were moving. They were turning away from his home. They were rising higher into the air. Something else was coming. Something that even the Dominion feared. And on the horizon, a new light appeared. Not the dark light of the Dominion ships. This light was silver and gold. This light was beautiful. Help was coming. The silver and gold ship descended slowly from the clouds. It was different from the Dominion vessels. Where the Dominion ships were dark and sharp and frightening, this ship was elegant and peaceful. It looked like a work of art with smooth curves and gentle lights. It floated down and landed softly on the edge of the destroyed rice field. The Dominion Enforcer watched it with those burning eyes. For the first time since it had arrived, Taiho saw something new in its expression. Uncertainty, maybe even fear. The Concord, the Enforcer growled. They should not be here. This system is Dominion territory. A door opened on the side of the silver ship. A figure stepped out into the morning light. This alien was tall and slender, with skin that shimmered like sunset clouds shifting between orange and pink and purple. Its eyes were large and gentle. When it spoke, its voice was like soft bells ringing. "This system is unclaimed space," the new alien said. "And as of this morning, it is under the protection of the Galactic Concord." The enforcer took a step toward the newcomer. "You have no authority here. Earth is scheduled for elimination. The process has already begun. The process is cancelled." The Concord alien held up a small device that glowed with blue light. "We received the transmission from the scientist Vo. We know what the Dominion has been doing. And we are not the only ones. 12 other star nations received the same data. Right now, representatives are gathering to discuss what should be done." Taiho watched this exchange in amazement. Just hours ago, he had been alone in his workshop, fixing a broken motorcycle. Now he was standing in the middle of a galactic conflict, watching alien empires argue over the fate of his world. "The Concord is weak," the enforcer said. "You cannot stand against the Dominion. You never could. We were weak because we did not know the truth. Now we know. Now everyone knows." The Concord alien turned to look at Taiho. Its large eyes were filled with warmth. "And we have this human to thank for it. Without his help, Vel would have died in that field. Her message would never have been sent." The enforcer also turned to look at Taiho. The flames in its eyes burned hotter. One human, one insignificant human, changed the course of galactic history. How is that possible? Taiho did not know what to say. He was just a mechanic. He had done what anyone would do. He had helped someone who needed help. He had fixed something that was broken. That was all. But maybe that was enough. Vel limped forward. She had been watching silently from behind Taiho's workshop. Now she walked out into the open, standing straight despite her injured leg. "I will tell you how it is possible," she said. "I have traveled to many worlds. I have met many species, and I have never seen anything like what this human did last night." She turned to face the enforcer directly. "I crashed my ship in his field. I was dying. Any other species would have been afraid. Any other species would have called their authorities or run away or tried to capture me for study. But this human did none of those things. He saw someone in need, and he helped." Vel pointed at her ship, still sitting in the field, held together with wire and tape and human ingenuity. "And then he fixed my ship. Not with advanced technology. Not with years of training. He fixed it with tools from his barn. He used copper wire and car batteries and his grandmother's hairpin. He solved problems that our best engineers could not solve because he refused to accept that anything was truly broken beyond repair." The Concord alien looked at the ship with wide eyes. "You repaired Viridian technology with primitive Earth materials?" Taiho shifted uncomfortably. "I just used what I had. It was not fancy, but it worked." "Not fancy," Vel repeated. "He says it was not fancy. This is what humans are. They do not make excuses. They do not give up. They see a problem and they solve it, no matter how impossible it seems." The enforcer was silent for a long moment. When it spoke again, its voice was quieter. "The Dominion saw this quality in humans. This is why we marked them for elimination. This is why we feared them. And you were right to fear them," Vel said. "But not because they are dangerous. You should fear them because they are kind. You should fear them because they help strangers who fall from the sky. You should fear them because they would rather fix something than destroy it." Taiho felt his face grow warm. He was not used to being praised like this. He was just doing what his father had taught him, what his grandfather had taught his father. You see something broken, you fix it. You see someone in need, you help. Simple rules. Human rules. The enforcer turned away. It looked up at the black ship still hovering in the sky. For a moment, Taiho thought it was going to give an order. He thought the attack was about to begin. But instead, the enforcer raised one hand and made a gesture. The black ships began to rise higher. They were pulling back. They were leaving. "This is not over," the enforcer said. Its voice was cold and hard. "The Dominion does not forget. We will remember this day. We will remember this human. And one day, we will return." "Maybe," Taiho said. He surprised himself by speaking. His voice was steady now. The fear had not gone away, but he had learned something today. Fear did not have to stop you. Fear did not have to control you. Maybe you will come back, but by then, we will be ready. You think you can stand against the Dominion? You are one species on one small planet. We were one species on one small planet. But now we know we are not alone. Now we know there are friends out there among the stars. Taiho looked at the Concord alien, then at Val. "Where I come from, we have a saying. No one survives alone. We survive together." The enforcer made that grinding laugh one more time. Together. What a human concept. You think friendship will save you from the Dominion? I think it is a good start. The enforcer did not respond. Instead, a beam of white light shot down from the lead ship. The enforcer stepped into the light and began to rise. Up and up it went, until it disappeared into the belly of the black vessel. Then, one by one, the Dominion ships turned and flew away. They rose higher and higher, until they were just dark dots against the morning sky. And then they were gone. Taiho's legs finally gave out. He sat down hard on the ground, his whole body shaking. The fear that he had been holding back came rushing out all at once. He put his head in his hands and tried to breathe. A gentle hand touched his shoulder. He looked up to see the Concord alien standing over him. Up close, its skin was even more beautiful, shifting through colors like a living sunset. "You are safe now," the alien said. "The Dominion will not return. Not for a long time. Too many eyes are watching this world now." "Thank you," Taiho managed to say. "Thank you for coming. Do not thank us. We came because of what you did. You saved Vel. You helped spread the truth. You stood in front of a Dominion enforcer and did not back down." The alien's large eyes were filled with wonder. "You are a remarkable being, Park Taiho." Taiho shook his head. "I am just a mechanic. I fix things. That is all I have ever done. Perhaps. But sometimes, fixing things is the most important thing anyone can do." Vel limped over and sat down beside Taiho. Her silver eyes were bright. "You saved my life. You saved my mission. And you probably saved your entire world. How can I ever repay you?" Taiho thought for a long moment. He thought about everything that had happened in the last 12 hours. He thought about the future that was now opening up before his species. Aliens. Space travel. A whole galaxy waiting to be explored. "I have a daughter," he said finally. "Her name is Yuna. She is 8 years old. Someday, I want her to see the stars. I want her to know that the universe is full of wonders, not just dangers." Vel nodded slowly. "That is a good wish. And I think it will come true sooner than you expect." The Concord alien spoke again. "Park Taiho, on behalf of the Galactic Concord, I would like to invite humanity to join our alliance. We believe your species has much to offer. Your creativity, your determination, your kindness, these are rare qualities in the galaxy." Taiho stared at the alien. "You want us to join you? But we are so primitive. We have barely left our own planet. That does not matter. What matters is who you are, not what technology you have." The alien smiled, and its face shifted through a dozen colors. "Besides, we have seen what you can do with primitive technology. I think we have much to learn from you." For the first time in hours, Taiho felt himself smile. The sun was fully up now, shining down on the destroyed rice fields. the crashed spaceship, and the impossible scene before him. Somewhere in the distance, he could hear sirens. The authorities were coming. Soon, the whole world would know what had happened here. But for now, in this moment, Taiho just sat in the field and looked up at the sky. The stars were fading as the day grew brighter, but he knew they were still there, waiting for him. Waiting for his daughter. Waiting for all of humanity. The universe was bigger than he had ever imagined. And today, for the first time, humanity had taken its first step into it. 3 weeks had passed since the morning when black cruisers filled the sky above Bizon. The world had changed in ways that Taiho could never have imagined. At first, there had been panic. When the authorities arrived at his farm, they found the crashed alien ship, the destroyed rice fields, and Taiho sitting calmly beside 2 extraterrestrial beings. The police did not know what to do. Neither did the military. Neither did the government. Nobody had a plan for first contact with alien life, but humans adapt. That is what they do. Within days, the story had spread across the globe. Park Taiho, the mechanic from Bizon who fixed an alien ship with car parts and copper wire. The videos of the Black Dominion cruisers appeared on every news channel, on every website, on every phone screen in the world. People were scared. People were excited. People argued about what it all meant. But most of all, people wanted to know more. The Concord ambassador, whose name was Sela, stayed on Earth to help with the transition. She met with world leaders and answered their questions. She explained about the galaxy, about the Dominion, about the alliance of free species that had now extended protection to humanity. Not everyone believed her at first. Some people thought it was all a trick, a hoax, some kind of government conspiracy. But as more evidence appeared, as more aliens arrived, as the truth became impossible to deny, the doubters grew quiet. Taiho tried to return to his normal life. He went back to his workshop and continued fixing motorcycles and car engines. But nothing was normal anymore. Reporters camped outside his property. Government officials called him every day. Scientists wanted to study the repairs he had made to Vel's ship. Everyone wanted a piece of the man who had changed history. He found it overwhelming. All he had done was help someone in need. Why did that make him special? But Yuna did not care about any of that. She just wanted her father back. Jisoo brought Yuna to the farm on a sunny afternoon. The little girl ran across the yard and jumped into Taiho's arms. He held her tight, breathing in the smell of her hair, feeling the warmth of her small body against his chest. "Appa," Yuna said, "is it true? Are there really aliens? Did you really fix a spaceship?" Taiho laughed and set her down. "Yes, it is all true. Do you want to meet one?" Yuna's eyes went wide. She nodded so hard that her whole body shook. Taiho led her into the barn, where Vel was resting. The alien scientist had stayed on Earth while her injuries healed. She spent most of her time talking with human scientists, sharing knowledge about the galaxy. But when she saw Yuna, she stopped what she was doing and smiled. At least, Taiho thought it was a smile. Vel's face was so different from a human's that it was hard to tell. "You must be Yuna," Vel said. Her voice was gentle. "Your father talked about you many times. He loves you very much." Yuna stared at Vel with wonder. She was not afraid. Children rarely are. They accept strangeness more easily than adults. "Are you from space?" Yuna asked. "Yes, from a planet very far away. What is it like?" Vel made a sound that might have been a laugh. "It is beautiful. There are 2 suns in the sky. The forests are purple, not green. And the rivers sing when the wind blows." Yuna's face lit up with joy. "Can I go there someday?" Vel looked at Taiho. Her silver eyes were warm. "I think you can. I think humans will go many places in the years to come." Later that evening, after Jisoo had taken Yuna home, Taiho sat on the porch of his barn and looked up at the stars. The night was clear and cold. He could see thousands of tiny lights in the sky, each one a sun. Each one may be surrounded by planets, by life, by wonders he could not imagine. Vel came and sat beside him. She moved more easily now. Her injuries were almost healed. "I have news," she said. "The Concord has made a decision. They want to send a diplomatic delegation to the Concord homeworld. Representatives from every member species will be there. It will be the first time humanity has been officially welcomed into the galactic community." Taiho nodded slowly. He had heard rumors about something like this. "That sounds important. I hope they choose good people to represent us." Vel was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke again. "They want you to be part of the delegation." Taiho stared at her. "Me? Why me? I am not a diplomat. I am not a scientist. I am not a leader. I am just a mechanic. That is exactly why they want you. You are the one who showed the galaxy what humanity is really like. Not our weapons. Not our technology. Our heart." Vel turned to face him. "When you helped me that night, you did not know anything about me. You did not know about the Dominion or the Concord or the data I was carrying. You just saw someone who needed help, and you helped. That is what the Concord wants the galaxy to see. That is the best of humanity." Taiho did not know what to say. He had never thought of himself as special. He was just a man who fixed things. A man who did what his father and grandfather had taught him to do. But maybe that was enough. Maybe being ordinary was its own kind of gift. "Can I bring my daughter?" he asked finally. Vel's silver eyes brightened. "I do not see why not. Children are welcome in the Concord. And I think Yuna would enjoy seeing a river that sings." Taiho smiled. For the first time in weeks, he felt truly at peace. The fear was still there, deep inside. The Dominion was still out there, still a threat, still planning their dark plans. But so were the friends they had made. So was the alliance that now protected them. So was the future that was opening up before them. "There is one condition," Taiho said. "What is it?" "I need to bring my tools." He gestured at his workshop, at the shelves full of wrenches and screwdrivers and spare parts. "You never know when something might break down. And I would hate to be stuck in space with no way to fix anything." Vel made that laughing sound again. "Somehow, I think the galaxy will be very glad to have you." 50 years later, the history books would tell the story of that night. They would tell about Park Taiho, the simple mechanic who saved an alien scientist and changed the course of human history. They would tell about his daughter Yuna, who grew up to become one of the greatest ambassadors the Concord had ever known. They would tell about the moment when humanity stepped out of its small corner of the galaxy and into the vast community of stars. But the best stories were the ones that never made it into the history books. The stories of mechanics and farmers and teachers and children, all discovering the wonders of a universe they had never known existed. The stories of aliens who came to Earth and learned to love Korean food and Korean music and Korean hospitality. The stories of humans who traveled to distant planets and made friends with beings so strange and beautiful that they could barely find words to describe them. And through it all, in shipyards and space stations across the galaxy, people told the same joke whenever something broke down. "Don't worry," they would say. "Get a human. Humans fix things." It is what they do. In a shipyard orbiting Earth's moon, Taiho looked out the window at the planet below. He was old now, his hair white, and his hands no longer as steady as they once were. But his eyes were still bright. His mind was still sharp. And his toolbox was still by his side, just as it had always been. His granddaughter sat beside him. She looked just like Yuna had looked as a child, all wonder and excitement and joy. "Grandfather," she asked, is it true that you once fixed a spaceship with a car battery and a hairpin? Tai-Ho smiled. Yes, it is true. How did you do it? He reached over and took her small hand in his. I will tell you the secret. The secret is that nothing is ever truly broken. Everything can be fixed. Everything can be made whole again. All you need is patience and skill, and most importantly, love. She looked up at him with wide eyes. Love? Yes. When you love something, you never give up on it. When you love someone, you always try to help them. That is what makes us human. He squeezed her hand gently. And that is what will carry us to the stars. Outside the window, ships came and went. Alien vessels and human vessels working side by side. 50 years ago, humanity had been alone, unaware of the vast universe around them. Now they were part of something greater. They were members of a galactic family, and it had all started with one simple act of kindness. A mechanic helping a stranger who fell from the sky. That was humanity's gift to the universe. Not technology, not power, not conquest, just kindness. Just the simple belief that broken things could be fixed, and that no one should face the darkness alone. The stars shone bright outside the window. The future stretched out before them, infinite and full of wonder. And Park Tai-Ho smiled, because he knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity would face them the same way they always had, together.